My name's Alex Bruce. I'm one of the co-founders of Cerclos, and the true inspiration for me behind Cerclos is really coming from wanting to leave the planet in a better state than when I found it. For over a decade, we've been developing and providing software to help our global leaders accelerate their journey to net zero. We started with an amazing set of townhouses here in Perth, West Australia, which is where the software was born. And over the last decade, that's spread. You know, we've moved over east, so we moved over to Europe and London and Brighton. We established an office over there as the demand for life cycle assessment and the knowledge and understanding grew. From there, we've moved into New Zealand. From our perspective, everyday design decisions are being made. Those design decisions are going to have massive and long-lasting impacts on our planet, on our carbon emissions. And what's important to us is giving people or enabling people the ability to in real time see what their design decisions are doing and what the impacts are going to be, you know, across scope 1, 2, 3 emissions. It's about being able to very quickly and rapidly quantify that life cycle assessment and the carbon emissions across all the various categories and start making informed decisions at an early stage on how to optimise them.
I work together with designers and consultants across different regions in the world, and using the life cycle design methodology to reduce environmental impacts, specifically life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. Cerclos is a global leader in optimizing sustainable design for the built environment. Through our unique lifecycle assessment software, we provide the tools, services, and the information to accelerate net zero goals with precision and efficiency. Through my work at Cerclos, I've experienced how responsible investment in construction projects can accelerate the transition to a low carbon and circular economy. The real estate sector is increasingly recognizing the importance of life cycle design methodology, or whole life carbon, and that is to measure the life cycle emissions. Detailed calculations of scope 3 emissions or supply chain or indirect emissions can be modeled using the eTool software. This process will help identify improvement strategies that will save the most carbon and achieve the best return on investment. The LCA for construction is a process of continuous improvement and will continue for a long time. Benchmark information will help understand how your project performance compare with industry best practices with greater consistency of results. Baseline models will help monitor the carbon impact of the project as it progresses through the design and construction phases. And this will allow reduction targets to be set right at concept stage to drive down carbon impacts. There's a current movement within the industry to focus solely on embodied carbon rather than the whole life carbon of a project. Right? So there's a risk that if the focus shifts away from whole life carbon to embodied carbon in isolation, incorrect decisions will be made today, and that can have a negative impact in the long term and potentially derail the net zero targets. So selecting materials and products that based solely on embodied carbon impacts without accounting for durability, without accounting for the influence on operational efficiency during the use phase, may lead to a higher whole life carbon impact. So in contrast, the materials with higher upfront carbon impacts, with superior durability or with better operational performance, could result in lower environmental impact due to the reduced refurbishment, replacement, or the increased operational efficiency. In summary, the benefit of adopting a whole life carbon methodology is that when you combine operational carbon and embodied carbon in the same design, it gives you that integrated design benefit. And this integrated design approach will ensure that the capital that's invested is applied effectively on those strategies that will have the best return on investment with the greater potential for carbon reduction.
We have architects, we have engineers, we have financial consultants, we have government stakeholders, we have developers, we have construction professionals. The software really is there for as many people as we can to get engaged with the process. So I guess the other really important thing too in terms of optimising that journey to net zero or achieving your decarbonisation goals is doing it in a sort of quantifiable, meaningful fashion with real data that sits behind it, alignment with international standards so that what you're doing is quantifiable, repeatable, auditable, reportable to not just yourselves but your other stakeholders, be they finance institutions, government regulators or your end asset owners and occupiers. Let's provide meaningful data. Let's provide meaningful results on our journey to net zero, and it is a journey.